Heaven and earth were separate, yet heaven and earth were in love. And each night, heaven swung down toward earth, embraced his beloved with enormous wings, and then fled, leaving his trail in the sky. It could have been heaven on earth, if heaven had accepted the children earth bore him. Heaven, however, wanted them not. And as heaven, burning with love, covetously embraced earth anew, the son took up his steel sickle, cut through his father's manhood, and tossed it behind him into the sea. With this deed, the Lord of Heaven was destroyed forever. Sons dream of murdering their fathers, of making love to their mothers and sisters. And so did Zeus. He struck Cronus, his father, from the throne, and then married Juno. Juno, the goddess, his own sister, she who could have children with herself. Juno had given birth to Vulcan, a boy, small and crippled. There we see him riding on Zeus. "Bad bit of luck there," ridiculed Zeus. "Now I could bear you a child way beyond your dreams, a child from my very head." Zeus had considered it well, and encouraged Vulcan to strike his skull and split it open with a hammer. And Pallas Athene was born. She, the goddess of battle, born from the head of a god, Zeus, who is both her father and her mother, who rules the world and watches over all. With great responsibility, he looks around and discovers a green bikini on the beach. There she lies, the beautiful Princess Europe, sunning herself among the reeds, and he falls in love. How can he possibly get near to her? He changes into the form of a bull, his horns shimmering, his skin magical. And as he prances splendidly about, he pleases Europe. The princess cannot resist, and she sits on his back. As Europe looks back towards the coast, she grabs onto the horns tightly in fear, and the bull-shaped illusion begins to change its form. As an eagle, Zeus soars up into the sky and makes love to Europe among the clouds. On the other hand, there is Vulcan, the son of Juno, a lame gnome, a dwarf. Vulcan was a blacksmith, a magician, an artist, and to fashion a coat so that he might fly and be free of his handicap was an easy task for Vulcan. But the moment he saw Athene, all his talents meant nothing to him. He wanted only Athene, and he dragged the goddess onto her bed. But the virgin Athene is repulsed by him, and his divine seed drops to the earth. And Earth conceives Vulcan's child. She acts as a surrogate mother, and the child comes forth as dispute into the world. But who took care of this child? Answer D. Athene. 500 euros. Pallas Athene. Her godmother's gift is a golden spear. Shove off, children! Out of my way! Pallas Athene flies about in her golden carriage with her best friend, while Tiresias, the best friend's son, plays with his dog nearby. Tiresias goes in search of a spring. Instead, he finds unexpectedly what should not be seen at a public swimming pool. It is a question of modesty. The breasts and beauty of Pallas Athene. Wounded in her vanity, Pallas Athene blinds the youth. You play with fire when you gaze upon a goddess undressed. Tiresias' mother wept, and Pallas Athene felt pity. At least she acted like she did. She gave him the gift of understanding the language of the birds. Listen and hear the voice of the birds. And the strangest birds appeared in the sky. But Tiresias did not find joy. To know the future is not a path to happiness.
Hail to you, blood spirit, birth you never would, that from heaven or near it, poorest joyful heart, higher still and higher, from the earth you will spring, like a cloud of fire, the blue
are the talented not happy? Daedalus was a great inventor, and that is why his sister, who wanted only the best, sent her only son to be his apprentice. And Perdix quickly took to his lessons. "A virtuous lad," said his uncle, who was secretly burning with envy. And he led the boy out onto a high cliff and said, "Here shall be your test. From here, looking out onto the horizon, where do you think is the halfway point?" The question was barely spoken, and the lad pointed and said, "There." And Daedalus grabbed the boy in a fit of rage and flung his nephew over the cliff. Athene, however, protected the young genius. She wrapped the falling Perdix in feathers. Columbo questioned a few relatives, and fingers were soon pointing at Daedalus, who is sent to Crete, where there is a prison from which no one can escape. The labyrinth. Daedalus himself had designed the thing. Now Pelops had fallen in love with the king's daughter, but the girl's father refused the match. "The man who shall make my daughter a wife must first defeat me in competition." But a competition meant chariot racing, and chariot racing meant death. Whether jousting as knights or on the Formula One racetrack, the prize is always the king's daughter. And so it came to the competition. Pelops in a silver cabriolet, the cruel father in his flitzer, and at his side the top driver Myrtilos, the unbeatable. Should have won. But the king's daughter had her own plans. She slipped into the garage before the race and leaned seductively on Myrtilos' car. "If you were only to let Pelops win." The king's driver? He desired the girl as well. Myrtilos managed to save himself during the accident. The king, however, met his maker. And as Myrtilos realizes he's been betrayed, because the king's daughter has no interest in him now, he takes her violently. The king's daughter? She murdered him. Vulcan was after Venus, and Venus was finally Vulcan's wife when Mars fell in love with her. Unluckily, the nosy son kept sanctimoniously asking questions until Vulcan also learned of the affair. "Look here, all you gods," cursed Vulcan. "Look what Venus has done to me. Just because I am a cripple, she has to shack up with Mars."